Donald Trump's El Paso speech last night, one of his devoted fans decided to, in an unprovoked fashion, just attack a BBC reporter, and it was captured live on tape right here.
Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans have reached the lowest level in the history of our country.
Okay, so that video was from the point of view of the reporter as he was being attacked, and you see them then chanting in support of both the guy and Trump. His coworker who posted the video on Twitter said, "Just attended my first real Donald Trump rally where my colleague BBC cameraman Ron Skeans was attacked by a Trump supporter. The crowd had been whipped up into a frenzy against the media by Trump and other speakers all night." That probably will not come as much of a surprise to you. The BBC cameraman said the, quote, "very hard shove came from the blind side and the red hat shoved him twice before a blogger wrestled him away. I didn't know what was going on," he says. "He was just doing his job, filming the event when he was assaulted from behind." And his colleague, Washington correspondent Gary O'Donoghue, called it, quote, "an incredibly violent attack. This is a constant feature of these rallies, a goading of the crowds against the media." He says he's been spat at before as well.
So it's almost as if you egg people on by telling the people that the media is the enemy of the people, that they might actually act upon it. I mean, what do you do to your enemy? Do you sit there and just let him do whatever he wants? No, the whole point of the imagery of the enemy is that you attack your enemy. Like you literally almost can't do anything else with your enemy. I guess you could surrender to your enemy, but 9 out of 10 times you're going to attack your enemy. And so saying that criticism of the media, especially the mainstream media, is out of bounds is unacceptable and nonsense. Of course you can criticize them. You can criticize them from the right, and they have been for decades. We criticize them from the left. But calling them the enemy of the people incites violence. It's obvious. The intent of it is to incite violence. There is almost no other intent because there's 1,000 other ways to criticize the media by using the language, especially if you're the president of the United States, the enemy of the people. Well, whoever you apply that to, you're telling your followers you must attack those people. And so it's incredibly dangerous. I'm surprised it hasn't happened more. Although we find out after this that several other reporters said that this particular gentleman had been pushing them as well. Another BBC reporter said that at a different rally he'd been spat on. And we've had people, of course, aggressively coming up to Jim Acosta at some of these rallies. And so he's a dangerous guy who doesn't believe in our system of government, doesn't believe in freedom of the press, doesn't believe in the Constitution. And this is the natural consequence of it.
Yeah, we could go back through, there's these zombie things that just come up every once in a while and you address them and they come back up. So we could go through all these examples of him inciting violence, specifically saying to punch people, and we could go back for the election where one of his big fans was sending pipe bombs to his list of political enemies, and we can go through all that. If you do not accept that he is trying to get people to attack the media at this point, you're simply not going to. You're probably a Trump supporter yourself. It's happening all the time. Hell, go to the tweet that we showed you at the beginning and look at the responses from Trump supporters to that, and you get an idea of what they have been trained to believe about the media. Now, as this was going on though, you do also have Donald Trump in the room, and here is how he responded as the incident was happening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You all right? Everything okay? Please? Okay, thank you. Thank you. And women have
Okay, and he goes right back into his talking points.
All right, so a couple of things there. One is Trump's reaction. You guys okay? All right, well, I'm glad he asked, okay, but it's a very low bar. How about you tell the crowd, don't do that? So I have said things against the media, and if I'm in a rally, which I have been, and I say something against the media, somebody attacks the media, I would go, no, don't do that. That's not the point. We do it in a constructive way. We do it through ideas. We do it through politics. I wouldn't go, yo, you okay? You're right. All right, good. All right. And I think maybe even more importantly, did you hear the crowd? They were chanting, let him go, let him go. Like, oh, so what? He assaulted someone, just let him go. If you're a political opponent, they chant, lock him up or lock her up, right? If you're someone who committed a violent assault on a reporter, let him go, let him go. What's the big deal? Guys, and this is what the media still won't do, even though they're now the targets of the attack. You're not getting it. They like violence. And it's not just Trump, it's the Trump voters, it's the Trump supporters. They believe in an authoritarian form of government. They don't believe in freedom of speech and freedom of the press, and they believe in violence.
Yeah.
And so you can say, well, hey, look, that's just one guy out of the whole crowd. But the crowd chanted, let him go, let him go.
That was not enough for the crowd. They were not happy that it ended there. And think about the two reactions they had. It's bad enough that you see Donald Trump and he's just like, he's doing his weird point. He's even doing his thing like this, which is literally the exact same motion he makes in all of his rallies when he's attacking the media. Not in some sense like, hey, the Washington Post, New York Times. He's saying those people in the media. He did the same thing when talking to the guy, asking if he was okay there. So they start with let him go. Then they transition to Trump, 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 Trump. So they got fired up by one of their own attacking a member of the media, and they were reinvigorated for more Trump at that point. You're not supposed to call these people names. You're supposed to be super understanding of them. That was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
and he did nothing to stop it from happening again. He could have easily said, you know what? I'm gonna get back to my points I wanted to make in just a second, but here's the thing. If you attack ever a political opponent, member of the media, you are not a follower of mine. We don't have any interest in you being a part of the MAGA movement. We are for political change, we're not for violence. And he chose not to do that. He chose to transition back into whatever BS he was spreading about women after that.
And that's because he's at different rallies over and over, especially during the campaign, would say, attack them, not to the media about hecklers or protesters. He would say, carry them out on a stretcher. Those were the good old days.
Punch him in the face.
Punch him in the face, I'll pay your legal bills. He directly incited violence because that's who he is. He's a fascist at heart. So even at this late juncture, the media does not understand the danger that he poses to the country. If he could, he would end our system of government without blinking an eye. And look, one more thing about that. I wrote an article about this. I would say coincidentally, but it's not really coincidence. It's because this kind of violence keeps happening over and over again about stochastic terror. And we've got it up on our website, tyt.com. But we'll put the link down below if you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook. And it's about this phenomenon where if you say, hey, go kill Joe Blow, that is illegal. Okay, that is a specific call to violence and illegal. That's not covered under freedom of speech. Okay. But if you say, hey, generally speaking, these are your enemies, and is somebody gonna do something about it? That is legal. So, but what it does is it unleashes what's called stochastic terror, which is randomized terror, which they could then disavow and say, well, I didn't personally do it, so I'm not legally responsible. I just asked my followers to go commit that violence. And so Trump and a lot of right-wingers have over and over asked their followers to commit violence. And so when random acts of violence pop up to terrorize their opponents, including the media, they go, I didn't do it, haha, technically you can't get me. But it is terrorism nonetheless. I mean, last we heard, Christine Blasey Ford was still switching houses because she had the audacity to talk about what actually did happen to her during the Kavanaugh hearings. And the right wing has terrorized her ever since. The Sandy Hook parents, some of them continue to change houses because Alex Jones and those nut jobs say that they were crisis actors and it's all a lie, and they get threats of violence over and over again. So that terrorism is happening right now in this country. It happens all the time, and we've just quietly accepted it, and that's how fascism creeps up on you. when you slowly accept that one side will do violence and the other side will not counter it. And then eventually people get intimidated and stop speaking out against them.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.